Does this sound like you? You see epic photos of the Milky Way and you get inspired and you want to do that yourself. So you go online and you look up information how to do it and you're just overwhelmed by confusing information. Well, if that's you, I'm here to help you out to get started in your journey to taking amazing night sky photos. Hey, I'm Ian from Ian Lauer Astro. It's my life's mission to reconnect you back to the stars and the night sky. So let's get you photographing the Milky Way, outer space, the stars, all of that good stuff. So like and subscribe if you want to see more tips and tricks and just cool astronomy adventures, because I want to bring the stars back into your lives and everyone's lives. So before we get into this list, I just want to make one thing clear, and it'll be very, very clear as we go through this list. Astrophotography is all about light gathering power. It's all about how much light you can get in. When it comes to Milky Way photography in particular, we want to let in as much light as possible from our target in the shortest amount of time. Space is dim and dark and it's constantly moving above our heads. So we want to let in all of that light because we want to get as much detail in the Milky Way as possible for our photographs. So without further ado, let's get right into the list. So the number one tip I want to give you here is about gear. Let's set you up for success by making sure you have the right equipment to shoot the Milky Way. And the first thing you're going to need is a DSLR or mirrorless camera, like one of these things right here. This is the Fujifilm GFX. You don't need a camera as beastly as this one, but you do need a DSLR or mirrorless camera. And the reason is because you want to have complete control over all of your settings. You want to be able to manually adjust the settings on a camera. And when I mean manual controls, I really mean things like exposure, your f-stop, and focus, all those kinds of things. You want to have control over that. And DSLR and mirrorless cameras give you that control. And if you've never owned a camera like one of these before, all that really means is how long your shutter is open. You want control over, how much light you're letting into the sensor on the camera. And you also want to be able to manually focus on a target so you can get nice tack sharp images. So let's talk about lenses now that we talked about cameras. We're talking about this thing right here, the lens. What kind of lens do you want? Well, you want a wide, fast lens. So why do you want a wide lens? Well, you want a wide lens because you want to capture as much of the sky as possible. I mean, the Milky Way is huge. If you try and shoot the Milky Way with something like a 135mm lens, you're only going to get a tiny portion of the Milky Way. You want to see the Milky Way and its vast expanse. And sometimes you want to see that over landscapes, like nightscape photography. So you definitely want a wide field lens. But the real reason why you want a wide field lens is because it allows you to take longer exposures. And longer exposures, like 15-20 second exposures, means you're letting more light in. Remember when we were talking about astrophotography is all about light gathering power? Well, if you can take a longer exposure, that means you can get more light in. And if you have a wide field lens, that means you can do a longer exposure before you start to see something called star trails or star streaks. The stars are always moving in the night sky. And if you have a longer focal length lens, that means the stars are going to appear to move faster in a shorter amount of time in your shots. So that's why you want to go wide, so you can do those longer exposures without having to get those star trails or those star streaks interrupting your shots. So what you want to do is go wide so you can shoot for a longer amount of time. All right, so we talked about how wide a lens needs to be. What about fast? What does that mean? So you remember when we said it's all about light gathering power? Well, it holds true for fast lenses as well. The faster, the better. So if you're shooting at like f/18 or f/22, you're only letting in a tiny bit of light in. So when we say fast and you're looking at lenses, you want fast, baby. Faster is better. I'm talking like f2, f2.8, those kinds of lenses. The lens that I use for most of my Milky Way shots is a Rokinon 12mm f2 lens. It's super inexpensive compared to other lenses, and it does exceptionally well for Milky Way shots and nightscapes. So fast, wide lens is what you need. And the last piece of gear we talked about is the tripod. You need a stable, sturdy platform to put your camera on. And you're gonna be taking long exposures. And so you need to make sure nothing is shaking around. You can't hand hold your camera for 30 seconds. I don't care how stable your hands are. You're not holding that camera for 20 seconds super still. That's not gonna work. Put that thing on a tripod and call it a day. I'm telling you, you can even use a cheap $20 plastic tripod from Walmart or something, and you'll still be better than hand holding. All right, so we've talked about gear. Now let's roll into tip number 2, which is knowing when to shoot the Milky Way. First things first, there is a best time to shoot the Milky Way, and we actually call it Milky Way season. And when we talk about Milky Way season, when you hear people talking about chasing the Milky Way, imaging the Milky Way, photographing it, wanting to take pictures of the Milky Way, they're always talking about taking photos of the core of the Milky Way, which is the galactic center of our galaxy that we live in. It's actually really fascinating why we have a Milky Way season to begin with. You see, our solar system with the sun, the earth, and all of the planets sits outside of the core of the Milky Way galaxy. We're a ways away from the center, which means we can actually look towards the middle or the core, the center of the Milky Way. That's how we're able to see the Milky Way while still being inside of it. And our position around the sun is the reason for the season. Well, Milky Way season, that is. In season means we're in a position around the sun where at night we are facing the core or the center of the Milky Way. Where off season would be our position around the sun is such that when it's nighttime, we're facing away from the center of the Milky Way galaxy. So it really is just the position of the Earth around the sun that determines if we can or can't see the Milky Way. And when I say Milky Way, I mean the core of the Milky Way. So what are these best times? What is Milky Way season? Well, really the best times to photograph the core of the Milky Way is April through September. Those really are the best times to photograph the Milky Way. Now, with the right conditions and if you're in the right place and time, you can actually photograph the core of the Milky Way as early as February and as late as October. So now you know what time of year to shoot the Milky Way. What else do you need to know? Well, you need to plan your shots around the phases of the moon. You can't shoot when it's a full moon out. You're not going to get much detail in the Milky Way core. You want to shoot when it's new moon or around new moon. Again, it's all about light gathering power, and the moon up in the sky is going to wash out your Milky Way shots. It's going to interfere with all of that dim light coming in from the Milky Way. So you really want to plan around when the moon is going to be up in the sky. Now, there are tons of apps to help you find where the Milky Way is. Things like Sky Safari, Photopills, Stellarium, all great applications to really help you find out where the Milky Way is going to be when you go out and shoot it. Of course, weather plays a factor too, so make sure you're checking the weather before you go out. You don't want to drive out to a dark place to take shots of the Milky Way just to find out that it's overcast, cloudy, or even raining. So just make sure you're checking out the weather. Make sure you got clear skies. Perfect. So you know when to shoot the Milky Way. You know what gear you need. Now you need to know where you can shoot it, where you got to go to image the Milky Way. Now this one is really, really important. And it may be easy for some people and difficult for other people, and that's just the way it goes, but you have to get out to a dark sky site. You have to get out to somewhere where there are tons of stars in the night sky. And I don't mean drive for 10 minutes outside of the city and you're good. Don't drive 10 miles outside of LA or New York and think that you're getting out to a dark place. No, I'm talking about getting out to a place where you can actually start to see the Milky Way with your naked eye, or places where it's so dark that there's no lights around. That's where you need to be. You see, city lights interfere with the light coming in from the night sky. We call that light pollution, and light pollution literally is enemy number one for astrophotography. It is the bane of existence for astrophotographers, and we astrophotographers really have to do a good job of getting as far away from those city lights as possible so we can let in all of that dim, faint light from the night sky. Now, I'm not saying everybody needs to drive out to Big Bend, Texas in the middle of nowhere to shoot the Milky Way, although that sounds pretty epic, right? That would be an awesome road trip. But you do need to get away from those city lights. You gotta get as far away as possible. And again, I know it's gonna be difficult for some people and easier for others, but trust me, it's so worth it when you're able to get those images. Now, there are a ton of resources to help you find dark skies. One of my favorites is Dark Sight Finder. Dark Sight Finder has a great interactive map that will help you figure out where you need to go to get away from that light pollution. Just remember, driving out to these darker sites is part of the adventure and it's so worth it. So just make that effort to get out there. I promise you, it's an unbelievable experience. Get out there, witness the night sky like our ancestors used to see it every single night, and take it all in. It is an awesome experience. That's why we do it, right? That's why we do astrophotography. Great, so you've got the gear, you know what you need to shoot the night sky, you know when to shoot the night sky, and you know where you gotta go to shoot the night sky. Now what do you do when you're out there? That's always the question I get. What settings do I need to have to shoot the stars? This is the question I get asked the most. And so let's talk about it. I'm gonna break this into two sections. There's gonna be the settings that you need to have set in a certain way, and then there's gonna be the settings that are more flexible and are kind of dependent on, location, gear, light pollution, all that stuff. So let's start with the things that are a must. Focusing at infinity, a wide open lens, setting a delay timer, and shooting in RAW. So let's start with the first one. So do you wanna know how to focus on the stars? It's really, really easy. You go out when it's already dark, you point your camera at a really bright star, and you make that star as tiny as possible in your viewfinder or live view on the back of your camera. Because again, stars are represented as pinpoints of light, and so they need to look like pinpoints of light. If you are pointing at a star and you see that thing completely bloated on the back of your camera or in your viewfinder, you need to change that focus until that big old thing gets as tiny as possible and turns into a tiny pinpoint of light. You want a fast lens because you want to let in as much light as possible. Again, like I said before, it's all about light gathering power. If you have a wide open lens, you're letting in more light. If you're shooting at f2, your lens is wide open, so you're getting in as much light as you can. So crank that thing up to f2 and let in all that light. All right, next up, we talked about using a delay setting. Now, you always want to use a 2 or 10-second delay timer when you click that shutter button. Because when you click it, you're shaking the camera, and if you don't have a delay timer, every time you click, you're doing a 15, 20, 30-second exposure, whatever it is. That initial click is going to vibrate the camera, and you've already ruined your shot before you even started. So use a delay timer, 2 or 10-second delay, to dampen out that vibration to make sure your shots are clean and crisp. And the last one, which I would say is one of the most important settings to do, is shooting in RAW. If you're shooting in JPEG, you're doing it wrong. Don't waste your time shooting in JPEG. There are loads of hidden detail in your shots. And when you shoot in JPEG, you're basically tossing all of that amazing detail out. So don't shoot in JPEG, shoot in RAW. I'm gonna keep saying that. I've probably said it about 30 times recording this because it's that important. So hey, I'm looking at you, JPEG shooter, shoot in RAW. All right, so now we got all of the hard settings out of the way. Let's go to the soft settings, the ones that are a bit more flexible. So first things first, everything needs to be in manual. If you're in automatic exposure, don't do that. If you're in automatic focus, don't do that. If you're in automatic ISO, don't do that. Make everything manual. There are two settings you're always gonna be playing with when you're out shooting astrophotography. It's gonna be your exposure and your ISO. So let's start with exposure. We've been saying through this whole video, right, that it's all about light gathering power. We want to let in as much light as possible from that dim Milky Way so we can get all of those incredible details and colors in our shots. So we want to take as long of exposures as possible, but there is a limit. If you take too long of an exposure, you'll actually start to see that you'll get little streaks and star trails in your shots, which we don't want. And that's because the stars are constantly moving in the night sky. So if we don't want to see those star trails and streaks in our shots, how long is the right exposure, right? How long is too long? And that's a great question. You see, a lot of people use this thing called the rule of 500 or the rule of 600 to determine the optimal length of time to shoot the Milky Way to avoid significant star trails and things like that. Well, I've got an easier way for you. When you're all set up, ready, you got all your settings dialed in, you're pointing at the Milky Way. If you want to figure out the ideal time for exposure, take a 15 to 20 second exposure. Once that shot comes in, look at your image, zoom in. See, are those star trails really, really bad where it's ruining your shot? If so, drop the exposure time, drop it to 13 seconds. Take another shot, right? And see if it looks good. If it looks great, you're all set. And that is the same for the other direction, where take that 15 to 20 second exposure. You look, you zoom in, you see those stars. If they look like they're good and you could probably go longer, the streaks aren't bothering you, go longer, bump it up to 25. See how long you can go. It's all about what you want. Everyone has their own expectations, right? So start with a 15 to 20 second exposure. Look at the image and just say, do I like this? Do I like these stars? Does it look good to me? Play with the settings. You'll get a feel for what you want, for what you like, for what looks good for you. Now let's talk about ISO. Again, it's the same thing. There's a set range that you can start with. I always recommend between 1600 and 3200, and then just go from there, right? If you take your exposure and you're at ISO 3200 and it's way too noisy, drop the ISO, drop it down to 2000 or 1600 and do it again. And on the opposite side of that, if you think you can go without getting too much noise, bump it up, right? There are astrophotographers who do 10,000 ISO because their cameras can handle it. It all depends on your equipment and what you're willing to accept. Just start at 1600 to 3200, in between there, and just adjust from there. That's my best advice to give you. When you're in the field, take tons of shots. Take tons of exposures. Get as many exposures as possible. And what I'll recommend you do is find that perfect exposure setting, right? Let's say it's 15 seconds. You're happy with a 15-second shot. Perfect. So take a shot at 15 seconds with ISO 3200. And then just start adjusting the ISO between shots, right? You take a shot at 15 seconds, ISO 3200, then drop it down to ISO 2000. See if you like that. Bump it up to 6400. See if you like that. Just take a bunch of photos. Keep your exposure setting locked in and start playing with the ISO and take tons of shots. And then do the same thing the other way, where you leave the ISO at a set number and you start playing with the exposure. Do that and just take as many photos as possible. That gives you the ability to have tons of information, tons of data to play with. And one last thing, if your camera or your lens has something like image stabilization, just turn it off. You don't need that. And with those settings in mind, that leads us into tip number 5. And this is probably the most important tip that I can give you. Out of all the ones we've gone through, I want you to utilize this one the most. So look, all of these tips are great, right? They're setting you up for success. You've got the knowledge, you know what you need to do, you know when you gotta go out, you know what settings you gotta put in, but none of that matters if you don't go out there and do it. The most important thing you need to do is spend time out there fiddling in the dark with your camera, shooting the Milky Way. There's no better teacher than experience. Don't keep watching more and more videos. Don't keep gathering up knowledge so you'll be prepared for when you go out. Just go out and shoot, even if you don't remember every single little thing, right? The best thing you can do is get out there and just start taking photos. And look, don't be afraid to make a mistake. If anything, you should be afraid to have all of this knowledge of how to do astrophotography and shoot the Milky Way in the night sky, but never take action on it. That's what you should be afraid of, is not taking action and going out and doing the thing that you want to do, which is take pictures of the night sky. So the best advice I can give you is to get out there and shoot the Milky Way. Get out there, make the mistakes. Have the highs, have the lows, have the successes, just get out there and do it. That's the thing that's going to help you become a better astrophotographer. That's the thing that's going to teach you the most about astrophotography. So gather your gear, find a spot to go shoot, get out there and start taking pictures. And remember to just enjoy your time while you're out there under the night sky, because you're experiencing the night sky that most people don't ever get to see. So just enjoy it while you're out there. And so those are my 5 best tips for beginner astrophotographers wanting to shoot the Milky Way. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, it really helps me out. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. And I guess that's it. I hope to see you out there under the night sky and the stars. And as always, clear skies. Thanks for watching.